Welcome back to Disco Elysium. Last time we were trying to read our ledger. It didn't work too well. We couldn't really do much with it. We could have still looked at the case files, but for right now, I think we have more pressing issues, more pressing matters to attend to. Like, say, let's read the watermarks. That would probably make sense. The ledger has the watermarks, so if we just turn on the lights and step on in front of the vehicle, we should be able to read them, right?
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
Kim, how do I turn on the headlights?
Alright, ready? I turn, you press start. It's next to the preheater.
Press engine start.
The dashboard lights up with orange glow. The rounds per minute gauge jumps, and the engine of the Caprice Canadian comes to life with a whiny growl.
What's that you said? I couldn't hear you over the engine. Press the button labeled headlights.
The lights unfold with a little click, casting electrical light onto the ground before the vehicle.
There you go. I'll turn them off from the remote once you're done. We just need to stand in front of the machine now.
Sounds good to me. There we go. We have this nice little blip here.
As you hold your ledger's clip under the headlamp, an iridescent hologram appears. A street grid and the veins of a great river. A familiar sensation washes over you.
There she is. Revachol West.
There's a note of pride in the lieutenant's voice.
Around the borders of the watermark are dozens, no, hundreds of micro perforations.
Let's look at the shimmering street grid.
The rectangular watermark is overlaid with the logo of the RCM, and yet the major arteries of Revachol are all recognizable. They shimmer in the Kanema's headlights.
Wait. Let's have a look around us.
A rat brazenly darts past you and disappears amongst the stopped lorries. In the distance, a child somewhere shrieks. A woman reprimands her in a voice no quieter than the child's cry.
Ah, Martinez.
He smells the air and says that. Where are we on this? As we point to the halogen map.
Let me see.
He takes the ledger for a moment and inspects it.
Right here.
Yes, well, it does seem like a shithole, doesn't it?
It has its problems.
Let's look at the perforations then.
There are many of them, and they are divided into 3 separate rows.
Tally them up.
The first row has 18 dots.
Not bad.
Not bad for what? You don't even know what it means yet.
Hey, come on, don't be such a downer, damaged ledger. What about the next one?
The next is the longest. It runs all the way around the border, and then some.
Count them individually.
There are so many, it's hard to count. More than 150, at least. Maybe even 200.
What about the last row?
The last row has 3 perforations.
That's it?
That's it.
Hey, Kim, what do all these holes mean?
Those are perforations. They represent your record as an officer of the RCM. They are your statistics, as it were. I should have guessed you'd keep a record. Officers often do. Let's take a look.
Alpha male officers who are proud of their numbers often do. It's meant.
The first row represents your years of service. 18 years. Okay, not bad at all. What did you do before you volunteered?
Wait, 18 years I've done this?
That's what it says. I might have guessed even longer based on your age. What did you do all those blissful years of your youth?
Oh boy, I like all these options. I think the first one is really speaking to the megastar and the superstar of us, which we already internalized. But I think again, this is one for the chat. What did we do before our during our blissful years of our youth? What did we do? Yes, I agree with chat. We got drunk like a megastar?
Yes, that does seem quite likely. Your youth coincided with some heady days for Revachol. But let's move on, shall we?
Oh, can we not, linger in for a little bit longer? The fact we get drunk like a... Oh, okay, fine, we'll go on.
This next row, the one that wraps all the way around, is your number of closed cases. Closed is good. It means finished. You've got, let's see... Wow, more than 200.
Is that a lot?
It's quite a lot, even for someone who's been on the force for nearly 2 decades. Usually, clearing more than 10 cases a year puts you in the 90th percentile of all RCM officers.
See, Kim? I told you I was a superstar cop.
Call it what you want. You are a valuable member of your precinct. Now, let's look at the last row. Right. Those are your confirmed kills. You've got precisely 3 perforations there.
So I'm a killer.
For an RCM officer, especially Precinct 41, which is in the Jamrock quarter, it's rather tame. I mean that in a good way. There are certain officers who treat their kills like some kind of ghoulish game. If they do happen to solve a case, it's usually by accident.
It's obvious the lieutenant doesn't think very highly of these officers. Kim Kitsuragi is a man who doesn't revel in the amount of affirmed kills, I suppose, which makes him a rather valuable partner, I would say.
But it seems as though you are, or at least were, one of the good ones. So we have that to be thankful for.
Have you ever killed anyone, Kim?
Yes.
He says, declining to elaborate. How do you handle the strain?
Everyone has their own method of coping. Some more effective or self-destructive than others.
He gives you a meaningful look.
Personally, I find it helps to keep up a few hobbies.
Maybe I should find a hobby.
Why not gardening? You've already got the gloves.
He points to your yellow gardening gloves.
It's meant in earnest. Please don't mistake it for a jab.
I didn't. Well, thanks for this, Kim. Thanks for letting me figure out what kind of a cop I was before I lost my memory.
The lieutenant nods.
Okay, let's go.
Right. I'll go turn off the lights.
He presses a remote control on the key. Oh, now we can see our statistics on the journal page to the right of our task description. If we take a look at that, well, it's yeah. Now it actually gives us some stats. We are mostly a superstar cop. We have 7 points at superstar. We are 0 at apocalypse cop because we haven't said anything apocalyptic. We have said sorry maybe one time, and maybe we've had the boring option once. As for political affiliation, we're communist 1 and everything else is at 0. Good cop, bad cop, we're a good cop for the time being, at the very least. Our honor is at 0, that doesn't mean a whole lot. And it does give us the exact stats we just tallied up, which is 3 people killed, 216 cases solved, and 18 years in the service. We still don't know our name, but we know that we're a superstar communist to be, a good cop with 3 people killed, and la-di-da-di-da. Alright. That's us. Well, there is a lot of things we could do here in Martinez for right now. One thing we'll be looking for is money, because we still owe Guard a whole lot of money. And in case you're wondering why am I not reading all these nice little green orbs, there's a reason to it. There's not a reason not to break into all these containers, though. Like this one. Hey. We got the single blue naval coat. Let's see. +1 suggestion. I'm captain. -1 to half-light. Official poise. This classic double-breasted coat suits everyone, including you. And if you find yourself battling winds at the helm of a ship, then the coat's heavy fabric, he's got your back, even if moths have left a few holes in it. That's going to give us +1 suggestion, and -1 to half-light. Our half-light currently would be at 1. It's miserable. Our half-light doesn't really speak to us. Our suggestion is at 2, which isn't great either. Oh, she's shouting at us. In case you were wondering what that loud noise was, it's her. She really wants a piece of us. Why is that?
The streets will flow red once more. A great torrent rushing down Rue de Esperance. You wait and see.
The girl stares at the sailboat by the pier.
The streets will not flow red with anything. Who are you?
I'm Cindy the fucking Skull. What else do you want to know? Date of birth, blood type, the last time I was tested for Hep C.
We just want to know your name, little lady. No need to get defensive.
And here I was trying to be polite. Just can't win with you pigs.
Despite the sass, she puts the brush aside. You keep looking off to the side. What are you looking at?
She nods disdainfully toward the woman performing maintenance on the boat docked next to the pier. Hatred, disgust, it's difficult to tell which of the two is more present in her girlish features. The woman on the boat does not notice her staring.
That is on her. Someone's got to keep an eye on her.
Ozon is an archipelago 2 days' travel away from Rivershaw. Its moneyed residents, used to posh restaurants and upscale boutiques, rarely have reason to visit Martinez.
So quite far away from us, not just geologically, but culturally as well. Who is she?
Probably the Wild Pines rep. We should talk to her. She's a professional negotiator, though. I have the feeling she will be very cooperative while telling us nothing. You should take the lead. Ask her unexpected questions, you know? Do your thing. Don't be afraid to get a bit wacky. Throwing her off is our best bet.
Going wacky sounds the job for me. Sounds like a job for me.
Good idea, piggies. Run along now. Fuck her shit up good. Impound that boat while you're at it. I'd like to watch her swim back to us on.
What are you doing to the wall?
Can't you tell? I'm painting a beautiful mural, an aereo graffitio visible from low orbit. I haven't really started it yet. I'm waiting for the right words.
She studies the wall, suddenly pensive. So you don't know what to write.
Have you ever tried your hand at graffitio? When faced with a blank wall, most people write unimaginative stuff, like pigs go home and Mona was here. We rarely see pigs round here though. Just union cats. And my name's not Mona, so...
You mentioned pigs go home. I think we actually noticed that on the wall of the Whirling in Rangs a couple of hours ago. Just a couple of hours after we woke up. Why are you so committed to defacing the building?
This place is severely lacking in havoc. Not even the occasional trash can fire to break up the tedium. I thought I'd mix it up, you know, summon the forces of crime and social chaos with a wall-sized invitation.
I have an opinion on this. You want to hear it?
Yeah?
How about this is one for the chat right here. I'm not even going to say what I'm going to go for. I would go for. I'll tell it afterwards. But how about the chat decides this one for us? What are you going to do about Cindy the Skull defacing the building with her graffito? Well, this was exactly what I was going to say. It is our job as an art cop to actually encourage this sort of behavior. I love public art. Don't mind us. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks. I'm sure the inspiration will come to me now that I have an official RCM stamp of approval.
She's being sarcastic, isn't she?
She means the opposite.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Do you know anything about the recent murder, Cindy?
I ain't no snitch, pigstein. Go forth and forage in someone else's shit. No shortage of squealers in these parts.
Actually, there is a shortage of people who talk to us in a normal, calm, informative manner.
We weren't put on this earth to make your life pleasant, fucko.
She's not going to be cooperative. Well, catch you later, Cindy.
Watch your back, ungulate. You've got eyes on you.
I wonder if she meant that in earnest. Well, regardless, there is the Wild Pines representative supposedly over here, and she is on our to-do list. Find the representative of the logistics company who owns the harbor and ask her about the murder. She should be around here somewhere, and here she is. Let's have a talk with her.
A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good afternoon, officers. I'm Joyce.
She extends her hand in greeting.
Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM.
She steps closer and holds out her hand over the railing. Joyce L? What does the L stand for?
Beaten. My maiden name.
Her bony hand dangles from the sleeve of her oversized raincoat. What exactly... Oh boy. I don't think I want to say this. Let's try to act professional. What gives away?
Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
Oh, shh.
Relax. She meant it in jest.
Oh, thank you, conceptualization. I was really thinking she meant it in earnest. Shake her hand.
I'm glad to see you here.
Her grip is tight and cold.
Like steel. There is strength there. If she wanted, she could sink her nails deep into your skin.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief, even. This is a tactic.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
Maybe we should just start this up with some small talk. You're in a boat.
Why, yes I am.
Not a lot of people on boats, are there?
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around?
Wait, we're on an archipelago?
Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou.
Caillou? I thought we were in Remachol.
We are. And the city of Revachol is on the island of Le Caillou.
Still, I haven't seen anyone else sail a boat around here.
I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands.
You need to make this lady admit she's only riding around on this boat because she's rich.
Why would that be rhetoric?
Why what? Stop thinking. Take her down.
Oh boy. Yeah, this is one for the chat. Rhetoric speaking in. Rhetoric wants us to establish our position as a political entity. What shall we do? Chat. A very reasonable answer. Why am I even thinking about this? I have police work to do. Rhetoric.
Have it your way.
All right. Does she have a name?
Of course there are.
Oh.
We're on an archipelago. How else
Oh.
are you supposed to get around?
I picked the wrong option.
I mean, we are on Le Caillou, are we not?
She nods
Let's back off.
attentively.
Yes. Does she have a name?
The boat? No. It is called Cordelati 19 because that's the type of sloop it is.
Fine, but what kind of a boat is it?
It's a pleasure craft, a 19 pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business.
How do you like your boat?
My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
Her lips curl into a wry smile.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
Alright.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
Do you happen to be a license? Happen to have a license for this boat, ma'am?
Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles.
Oh, porcelain. Perception is noticing the porcelain of the teeth.
Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly Fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
So this is interesting that Encyclopedia actually had a success. This could have failed. Encyclopedia could have told us, yeah, you don't know enough about this. You're not smart enough to pursue her on this. But even if it succeeded, it's just, yeah, it's not gonna work because of the Wayfarer Act. I think I have a handle on the boat thing.
Good.
She takes a sip of her thermal cup. Well, we have a lot of questions here. Like, obviously, we want to ask about the lynching. We also have, well, she seems rich. Remember, we have this get a reality lowdown thing. Rich people are educated, it says right here. She could probably give us a reality lowdown. Yes. Before we go on with the actual police investigation, perhaps we should ask her about the reality we live in.
This reality?
She pulls her hood closer around her neck.
Yes, reality is your side case. An experimental side case.
I'm conducting a personal investigation into the world I find myself in, as we act very smugly, as conceptualization and drama clearly want us to act.
How truly curious. A sort of philosopher detective.
My theory is that this inquiry into the nature of reality will ultimately converge with our murder investigation. They are really one and the same.
Are they now?
The lieutenant cocks one eyebrow.
A deep synthesis. I'll assist you however I can then. Go ahead. Ask.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
Sure, let's do that. Where are we?
We're in Martinez, baby.
Baby?
A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed.
Oh, I think with our disco-ass blazer, we're a little bit of a disco holdover ourselves, aren't we?
Aren't we all?
And what is Martinez?
Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year.
Can you tell me more about Martinez?
I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. This place used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its work. The reeds are the real star of the show here now. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets.
You mentioned the sea. What sea is this?
It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay feeds into the ocean.
Are we near the ocean?
Yes. We're on an island in an ocean, the world's largest body of water, the Insulindic.
known to the early Revacholians as Les Immensités Bleues, the blue immensities. Vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
Some different thoughts chiming in. What's the name of this island?
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed over pebble amidst a great blue sea, misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the river Esperance. We're in the delta of this river on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her, and to humanity at large.
Okay, that's Martinez. What's Revachol?
Revachol? Revachol is what you call a city.
What kind of city is Revachol?
Great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism, a fact.
What makes Revachol so great?
History, detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries.
Okay, who built this city then?
The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Seminine and Ile-Marat, depending on your creed.
That doesn't say a lot to us at the moment. When was Revachol built?
In the DeLorean century. 380 years ago.
And why will it resolve history?
They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men.
Why here exactly?
We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is.
So we're in an unimportant part of an important place?
I think it's fair to say so. Martinez is about
She points across the water where the skyscrapers rise.
22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Look to the sea.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
Where are we?
We are where we are. I have no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
She watches you closely as you scan the horizon.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
This has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask, about even more fundamental aspects of reality. Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Ma'am, Messier will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't that true, ma'am?
Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term.
You're probably right, Lieutenant. I'll continue later.
It's better not to eat all your candy at once.
Indeed. I'm always at your service.
Well, we just gained another thought. And this is why we came over here and we spoke to Choice Messier. It's because we got this.
Of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else I can do?
We'll speak with her again.
It's what you want to say.
Oh.
But it isn't that easy, is it?
Oh lord, I accidentally said you seem rich, can I have some money? And Inland Empire is saying no, we can't do it. I was about to tell her goodbye, but I accidentally clicked on this. Okay, I guess we're going on with this.
Look at that lady. Take a gander. Squint your eyes, bub.
What lustrous hair.
A well-kempt, yet tastefully short bob of dark hair. Despite the first hints of grey, she's elected to keep it au naturel, shaped into a permanent wave, late 40s style, positively statuesque, while dull orange pearls hang from her earlobes, red from the cold. Her light green eyes scan you, full of knowledge and worry, wealth and all its possibilities. These are the kind eyes of the rich man that seem to say everything is possible.
Yeah, so?
Now look at you, you misery-clad simian, barely able to tie your own laces. Your armpits are lakes, a scythe of booze precedes you. Your hair sticks to your forehead and your underwear feels uncomfortable. You're poor, poor as balls. You can't ask this person for money. You're too...
Oh boy, there are some really, like, terrible options here. Like, this one right here, number 5. Which is why I'm not even gonna ask chat, because maybe some of you who want to see what happens when I say this, but I'm not gonna say it. Ashamed?
Yes, you're too ashamed to ask this person for money. Too scared to belittle yourself in her eyes. Those half-precious stones of Odinel.
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't hesitate to ask.
Well, there it is. Now we actually have a check. It's a volition check that is really low. We have a 17% chance of actually nailing this. I don't see it happening. But before we actually continue with anything,
Of course,
we did
Detective. Take care.
we did gain a thought. Which would be jamais vu, derealization. It takes us 3 hours, 25 minutes to internalize. The problem says, Revachol Special Administrative Region, Le Caillou, the Insulindian Ocean, Coalition Government, Insulindian Mission Command, name after name, and none of them is familiar. They seem real, but something is wrong. You feel like a kid looking at stickers on the fridge. Trubant, the Apricot Company, World Games 34. You can almost see your hand reaching out for them. Scratch at the corners, see if they peel loose. This feels like the most important of all the thoughts, the one you must truly complete. That seems like a compelling argument. Maybe we should internalize jamais vu. Where the heck are we? What is the world? It's gonna take us a couple of hours to internalize. But we have time. Oh boy, do we have time. It's only 4:20 right now. We don't have any drugs that we could use at this time. I sort of wish we did. But we can still speak with Choice Messier about actual police work. Now that we already got the startup of the reality lowdown. I think that actually crossed off our list, did it not? Not quite. Keep asking Choice about questions about reality. Maybe we'll go to the case. It's still imperative that we actually speak with her about the case. Let's forget about our acute encephalopath. Okay, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it anymore. Let's ask her about the case.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
Well, what can you tell me about this lynching?
Quite a few things, I'm afraid.
She falls silent for a moment, contemplating something.
The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Badge numbers?
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57.
The lieutenant hands her a piece of blue plastic.
And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
How curious. Why is that, Detective?
Remember when my partner told you I'd recently suffered from an unusual medical episode? My lost badge is related to it.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode?
I could have eaten it for all I know. I don't remember anything. The swirl, the city, nothing.
Oh dear. I suppose this does explain some of the more curious turns in our conversation.
Well, like the fact that I wasn't asking you police questions, that I was asking you about reality the first time we met. Is that the kind of curious turn you're referring to?
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
We do have a suggestion check that is a red check, so this is the only time we'll be able to try this out. Well, if if this button actually finally works, what you want to do is either give me a buff or a debuff to Psyche. We want an additional point in Psyche to make this work. So far, it hasn't worked great. But I'm gonna click this and we'll hope that something comes out of it. We're currently at 42%. Let's see if we can make Psi go up a little bit. Still doesn't seem to work. Well, I suppose we'll just try it nonetheless. It's 42%. It's not too bad. How do I negotiate my way out of this? Rhetoric. Or suggestion.
She's a negotiator. Just float a favor at her. Insinuate.
Oh, we actually passed it. Surely there's some other way to demonstrate our law enforcement's credentials.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something very tangible.
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Such as what?
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason.
They're profiting from this trade.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn over the right stones. Or you can recover your badge, though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that may be a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue.
Excuse us for a moment, madame. Kim wants to have a talk with us. Let's see what he has to say.
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective.
The lieutenant's voice is hushed. How did you hope it would go?
Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchman.
Really? I thought it was going so well.
This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
We could just, find my badge.
Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large and your badge is 8 by 6 centimeters.
Man, it's a fair point.
You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months.
Well, what do you propose that we just don't investigate the possible drug trafficking in the harbor?
No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we're siding with the Union, or that we are on their take. We'd never hear the end of it. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching.
Sounds reasonable. Let's get back to her then.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
There's still the volition check of asking her for money, which we accidentally chose. Alright, you know what, fine. Tell me about this alleged drug trafficking.
It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samar and Isola into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL, and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff.
Let me get this straight. The materials come from Samara to Revachol through the terminal?
Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here.
Wild Pine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut.
And you want us to investigate?
Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dock Workers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link.
I'm not even gonna ask Chad. I want to say the second one. Am I gonna need bolt cutters for this?
Unlikely, officer. I'm talking about the lorries. Once the ingredients reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers, well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they may be vulnerable. Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment.
She gives you a knowing look.
I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you.
Well, we have a lot of options here. Let's just start with the first one. Why didn't you come to the RCM earlier about this drug trade?
We did. On more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls under.
Oh, that's the pissing competition, as Kim would call it.
We know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCM. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers.
Well, we actually haven't seen any lorries so far. So this question doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's no coincidence that the lorries are stranded there like that, is it?
No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However,
She pauses, looking to the sea.
this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue.
She looks north.
Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable, the weary.
Well, at least this solves one mystery.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wonder since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand.
What proof do you have that the Union is involved?
How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves.
So you think the strike is being funded with source ingredients for drugs?
Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you.
We already have some suspicions that one of the drivers for compressors was present at the lynching. This would be here because we discovered that there was potentially a driver among the people who left their footprints because they had the odd soul, as they put it. Let's see where this goes. We already have some suspicions that one of the drivers was present at the lynching.
The two might even be connected.
Or not. Though, if you have evidence to the contrary, I'm eager to hear it.
As eager as I am to share it, Lieutenant, once the job is done.
She's not going to part with any information before we actually deal with the drug mystery. Well, I've made up my mind about the smuggling investigation.
Yes?
Yeah, I think as police officers, this warrants an investigation. So we will take this case, probe the drivers, see what it yields.
Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something. It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance.
She takes another long sip from her seemingly bottomless thermal cup. Well, this is the company rep, basically. I guess we can ask her about Wild Pines.
What we do. I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking.
There was a touch of discomfort there. She wants to merely represent.
So what do they do then?
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
The Wild Pines Group is one of the original Revacholian Indo-tribes. Companies awarded royal monopolies by the king, the suzerain himself, centuries ago. The king is long gone, but several of the Indo-tribes remain.
So, who are the other Indo-tribes, Encyclopedia?
Son-Baptiste, LUM, an unknown entity known as Brightest Star.
That doesn't give me a whole lot. You're in good company, it seems.
Why, thank you.
She does not register the real meaning of the remark. How much money does Wild Pines have?
I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue.
A billion?
Encyclopedia actually failed that one. We don't know what a billion means. What exactly is a billion?
It's a number, officer. A big one.
What is it made of?
It's made of 1,000 millions. A million is made of 1,000 thousands.
Wow.
20 billion is a large number, but the conglomerate employs 72,000 people. They all need to be paid. Then there are capital improvements, interest payments.
A wave hits the sloop. She grasps the mainstay for balance.
A conglomerate the size of the Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It's a tremendous responsibility.
Where does Wild Pines get all these billions then?
They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago, when pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lomantang on behalf of the suzerain. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it.
It probably does help out to start with a royal monopoly.
You know more than you let on. Certainly it helped, but most of the original Indo tribes have failed or been absorbed. To survive, Wild Pines had to grow and adapt. No suzerain did that.
What does such a huge system want with a place like this?
You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo?
She gives you a little smile. How about for this we ask chat? What shall we say? 8% of all the cargo in the world? That's quite the endeavor indeed. You don't keep it moving, the workers do. The company's nothing without them. That's all I need to know. About something else. I expect these two would be like the things to choose. Let's see what chat thinks about this. Do we have actually any political endeavors? Alright, well, we're just gonna be sucking it up to choice Messier. 8% of all the cargo in the world, that's quite the endeavor indeed.
There are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be accounted for, lest the entire system break. Every hiccup in such a system means thousands lose their jobs, the world over. I'm here to assure that doesn't happen.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
We also got a new thought. I guess we'll get to it in a while. For right now, we know there's a strike. We spoke to Kim about it. What can you tell me about the strike?
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
What if I want to hear about trade secrets then?
First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like something we can do. How do I repeal it then?
Why? By throwing off half a century of foreign domination under the Coalition. Unfortunately for you, the Coalition also leases you the right to police West Revachol. But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike.
So we get our authority from the same government. So essentially, we're in the same boat, as to speak. What is your role in this precisely?
First, you'd have to
No,
repeal the
not that.
You'd have to repeal the Why? But I am derailing us.
All right.
You wanted to
What is your role in this precisely, Choice Messier?
I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The Union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter 20 racist behemoth blocking the gates.
Tell me more about this behemoth.
What can I say? The Union employs a giant covered in tattoos. A racist giant. I guess that's part of their big tent organization now.
Doesn't sound like it's gonna be easy to get into the harbor. How were the talks going before the lynching?
Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
He looks at his notes.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike?
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
You know, for me, just having overtime pay and a medical plan doesn't sound too awful, but fine. What do go on, Choice Messier?
Ludicrous, even. It's meant.
What happened to this Gaumont?
Mr. Clare told him to... How did he put it?
She pauses to compose herself.
Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see.
Not cool. That is not cool.
Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union.
What are their demands then?
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board.
Oh boy. We have to go with the chat with this one. I like it. I don't know what to think about that. Over-aggressive comic posturing. Seems like they have no idea about business. Forget it. I wanted to ask about something else about this chat. Yeah, this is one for the chat. Every worker a member of the board. How do you feel about that sentiment? No votes. No votes whatsoever, which means we're gonna go with the first one. I like it. I like that sentiment.
Then you might also like their other slogan. Demand democracy.
I don't know. You know, the art cop in me says that's kind of weak. Yeah, no, that's weak.
Personally, I agree. It lacks the pizzazzo of every worker a member of the board.
What exactly do they mean by it, though? What's the demand?
It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about what? About anything really, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group.
That is pretty funny, I have to admit.
They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more practical solution.
So what are you gonna do?
I'm not sure. Naturally, I assumed that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags, a disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, From whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates, the one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
It doesn't really. We haven't spoken with Maniana, so I guess the game assumed that we were not going to be speaking with Choice just yet. Because reaction speed actually checks out. Or it could be a bug. We don't know. Regardless, tell me about this Union boss, Mr. Clare.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first.
Really?
Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
Is he really that bad?
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar.
Wait, there are two of them?
Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues.
What about the Union itself, outside the Brothers Clare?
The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The Brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
She hesitates, looking for the right expression.
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother.
She turns to you.
And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is...
an effective advocate for the rights of the local working men, a giant leech sucking the life out of Revachol, basically a socialist mob? I prefer not to have an opinion on these things. Well, we don't understand a lot of the world, and neither does the Chad, but how about we leave this up for the Chad? What do we think the Débardeurs Union is actually about? Again, we don't really know what they are. The Débardeurs Union, in our mind, is an effective advocate for the rights of local working men. Ma'am.
Why do you think so?
Well, again, it looks as if the game really wanted us to not come here this early on, because it's referring to Measurehead, who we don't know yet, and this is a very nationalistic thing. So I guess if we're going for the rights of the local working man, we're gonna go with they're good labor men. Can't fault them for a little corruption.
A real man of the left. What else can I tell you about?
Well, one more thing. You said something happened in the elections.
I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
Some kind of extortion, probably.
Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, These kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
That's all I need for this topic. Let's change it.
Of course. How else can I help?
Well, we do have the photo of the dead man. Perhaps we can ask her about those tattoos of his.
That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question.
So you do know something about the tattoos then?
Better not tie the force day to the bat's day on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with.
Well, we'll still have the volition thing we could try. We don't really have any tools or items to, improve that. We did get the lieutenant handkerchief earlier that I never read. The handkerchief given you by Lieutenant Kitsuragi. One corner of it is adorned with lace and a tightly embroidered portiere. You know what? Before we call it quits for the session, we are poor as balls. We have 1 real to our name. We need to pay for our hotel bill. This woman seems pretty rich. And judging by her recent actions, we could use some money off of a giant leech like this who's oppressing the workers. Let's actually, we can improve this. We can improve this right here by giving it a little bit more oomph. Like right here, we got it to 58%. That's as good as it's gonna get. Let's ask her for some money.
Voila, you're doing it.
Oh man, we did it. You seem rich. Can I have some money?
Why, yes, I am rich. How much money do you need? Hopefully not too much. I couldn't bring all of it with me.
She's surprisingly nonchalant about this. Could it be that she somehow knows more about your predicament than she's letting on?
Well, I mean, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't really make any sense. This is the amount we owe to the bartender. And anything past that seems kind of off the board. I think we're just going to be realistic about her and say we need 60 real so we can pay for our damages that we caused in the hostel. I need 60 real, ma'am.
That's a good sum. Not too small, not fantastically large.
She reaches into her raincoat and pulls out a zip bag. In it, you see paper notes arranged like black gills.
She removes a few notes and hands them to you. The paper is cold and oily to the touch.
So, I hope I didn't just bribe you, officer. It may not be technically illegal under the Emergency Act, but still.
We could be the really honorable policeman. We could be her peon. Or we could just, wrapping our head around this whole concept of money. What shall we say? Are we going to be her peon, or are we honorable, or are we just wrapping our head around it? Well, we have some reasonable people in chat right now tonight. I'm still getting my head around this whole money concept. You're just helping me out.
You're right, man, that donations are permitted under the Emergency Act, unseemly as it may be, as long as they're properly logged with the precinct.
I'm sure we'll log them properly.
Which he most certainly will do. Now, how else can I help the RCM today, besides supplementing its salaries?
Yes, we would definitely do that. Well, it's pretty clear that we were supposed to go to the other side of the hotel before coming to speak with her, because there were some references there that got a little broken. Regardless, we got a reality lowdown. We're currently trying to learn about Jamais Vu. And it's going to remind us about what the world is about. And it's going to be worth it. It's definitely going to be worth it. And we'll get to that and all the other good stuff in Disco Elysium next time, as we perhaps try to speak with the other party of the conflict, Everard Clare, the head of the Depardieu's Union. But for right now, we still don't know where we are. We're still kind of lost. We don't know who we are, where we are, what the hell. Just why are we here? Well, we know we're here to inspect a body, solve a murder, but that's about it. And now it seems like there's a labor conflict maybe going on. And we're doing a job for the Wild Pines rep, where we're trying to figure out who's smuggling drugs throughout the terminal. It's only gonna get, the rabbit hole's only gonna get deeper from here. So I hope you've enjoyed it thus far. And for right now, we're gonna say goodbye to Disco Elysium. I'll see you next time.